Hi everyone, and happy new year. Welcome back to UCL. I don't know where you are in the world, but welcome back to UCL for term 2. For those of you who don't know me or remember me, my name is Dimitrios Kraniotis, and I'm the departmental manager, and I will be moderating today's induction event for term 2 and for the remaining of the year. So just before we start, we covered the technicalities for today's session and the recording. I would also like to ask you to mute your microphones if you haven't done already, so we don't have any outside noises. You can change the view, as you know already. Top right of the window, there's a gallery view, there's a speaker view, so you can use both to see the speakers or all of the participants. And you can also see the mute button at the bottom left, where the chat window is also there, which you can use after our presentations to ask us any questions that you might like. And just to repeat again, we are recording this session, and for those of you who do not want to be recorded, if you have just joined, please turn off your videos, and we will be sharing that recording with the rest of the students who could not attend later on, but not your questions. So we thought that it would be good to welcome you back, not only by emails, but also by showing our faces again, giving you some main updates that you might have already heard about, and also be here to answer to any questions you might have for us. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass the virtual microphone on to our head of the department, Elizabeth Shepard, and then we will keep going with the rest of us. Elizabeth.
Great. So yes, thanks very much, Dimitri. So as head of Department of the Information Studies, I'm very pleased to see you all back virtually only at this point, and welcome you back for the second term. So I recognise that it continues to be incredibly challenging in society, in our lives, but also in our education. And we're doing our very best to support your learning through the rest of the year. We do ask you for your understanding if things are less than perfect. I would say that as well as many of you having caring and other responsibilities, many of our staff also now have homeschooling, childcare. Many of our staff have had to change their work hours. So please bear with us if we're slow to reply. And of course, let us know of any problems. We'll do our absolute best to sort things out, and we want to give you as good an educational experience in spite of the incredibly difficult setting that we all find ourselves in. But we want to do that working together with you. And in that context, a really big thank you to your student reps. You've been fantastic through the year so far. You've been incredibly helpful, your student reps, and we're very, very grateful for that help. Just to reiterate what you've probably seen in various emails, which is to say that the UCL campus is in effect closed at the moment. There are still library services and there are student study spaces bookable through the library. So if that's something you would like to take advantage of if you happen to be in London, then please do go ahead and book those through the library as before. But the department as such is closed. There are no staff in Foster Court. None of us are allowed to go in there at the moment, and there are no student services in the department as such. And that does affect doctoral students who have been able to go in and work in the doctoral studies room, and I'm afraid that at the moment is closed. So do ask us questions once you've heard our short introductions. I will just say something about face-to-face teaching, although I know Daniel is going to deal with that. So as you'll be aware, the government lockdown currently prohibits universities from teaching on campus except for essentially medical students and a very tiny other group of other category of students. And we're not allowed to do any on-campus teaching until at least the 22nd of February. We will keep this under review as government guidance and rules change and shift, but frankly, at the moment, I'm not anticipating that we will be allowed or able to offer any on-campus teaching during the whole of the second term, this term too. But clearly, if things do change after the 22nd of February, then we will change what we're doing, and we'll let you know about that. But we cannot do on-campus teaching till the 22nd of February, and I think it's not likely. I think that date will be extended by the government as we get nearer to the middle of February. So it's very sad for all of us not to be there, and for all of you not to be there, but we are doing our best in a very difficult circumstance. So I think now I was going to hand over to Daniel to say a little bit more about teaching and learning this term. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Welcome back, everyone. First of all, Happy New Year, at least in theory. And I hope you did, at least if nothing else, get a bit of rest over the break, a chance to regroup a little bit. It's lovely to see those of you here. And if you're watching this as a recording as well, hi and welcome. Hope to see you at some point over the term. I'm just going to speak very briefly about this issue of face-to-face, or now largely remote teaching, certainly for the first half of term. And as Elizabeth said, we can review after the 22nd, but at the moment we don't expect to necessarily be able to return to any kind of face-to-face teaching this term. I primarily want to speak to all of you about our central dissertation module that we had been running in the first term with some face-to-face workshops on Wednesdays, but that really ramps up this term, because this is the point for our master's students that typically you really begin working towards the preparation of your dissertation work in earnest, beginning to think about your proposal and the core components that will go towards preparing you to work on it in term 3. As a consequence of the new restrictions, we are now unable to deliver the face-to-face workshops that we had been working with on the Wednesdays. And as a consequence, I've been trying to work with colleagues, with many of the staff here, to adapt and convert what we had planned for you for this term into a remote delivery version of the module. So what you'll now have available to all of you is the same kind of structured outline for the dissertation module, but it will be beginning from next week, the 20th, Wednesday, with the first session, which will be delivered by Elizabeth Lomas, who's here right now, planning and designing your research. The way that we're going to be delivering this module now, I imagine will be structured like the modules that many of you have been attending on your individual programs. We will be recording asynchronous videos that you can watch in your own time in order to offer everybody the same opportunity to engage with those learning materials. And then we will also have a synchronous, a call session that's delivered remotely each Wednesday at the allotted time, and that access will be made available to you week by week on the dissertation module. So please do go and visit that, have a look at the course materials that are there and that are being unveiled. I'll provide the full schedule for the term just as a short list for all of you so that you can see which sessions are available rather than listing them here. But also please do get in touch if you have any questions about accessing material or what's available. The really core thing that I want to encourage all of you to think about doing now, particularly given that it will be delivered remotely rather than as kind of workshops where you have the opportunity to engage with it face to face, is to make sure that you do take the time to have a look at those pages, particularly those that are situated in this first half of the term. That's the first session on planning and designing your research, research ethics and integrity, writing a research methodology. Those are really core sessions that we would often have delivered face-to-face in a kind of live setting in a typical year, and that are meant to help prepare you for your drafting of proposals. So please go and make sure that you're familiar with those materials. What I've also done is set up the structure of the course at the moment for 7 weeks worth of course material, leaving a couple of weeks at the end as open spaces so that we can monitor how everyone is working and developing with these materials, and as necessary, put in either surgeries or repeat sessions of early topics that not everyone may necessarily have engaged in. So don't be worried if you don't see that the full schedule is there. It's in order to allow that buffer for us to kind of reevaluate both in terms of whether face-to-face might be possible at the end, and also in terms of what content would be available. Okay. Obviously, this issue with the inability to deliver face-to-face also applies across all of your modules. Now, all of your module leaders have been working across the year to prepare good and effective remote learning opportunities for you, and the majority of our modules are already designed in this way anyway. But please do be patient with your tutors who are doing their best to convert any materials that they might not have had set up that way. Unfortunately, any of those kind of direct engagement opportunities to meet with each other in a physical environment won't be possible, but you will still have the best opportunity that you can to engage with your cohort in an effective remote setting. That's really all I have to say. I just want to encourage you all to go and have a look at the dissertation module page to be aware that it's being delivered remotely now for you. And please to get in touch with me if any of you have any questions about the practical side of accessing any of that content, but also any questions that you have about what kind of materials might be available to you and how to guide your learning now that it's in that kind of digital setting. That's everything from me. I think I hand over now to Elizabeth Lomas, who'll be talking to you about tutoring.
Hi, so I'm speaking to you at this moment with my departmental tutor hat on, and really I just want to remind you all about those personal tutoring structures. We're really keen to be here for you and support you. We want to know that you're well. We want to help you where there are issues. Remember, as Elizabeth has said, Elizabeth Shepherd at the outset, that some of your personal tutors may be working on slightly shifted schedules for various reasons, so be patient. Remember, we are a network of colleagues, so if you're feeling really anxious about something, there are, your programme director or others in that programme team will be really keen to pick up and help support you. So we are a network, but we're really keen to kind of stay in touch with you as your personal tutors to know that you're doing well. As module tutors, your module tutors will want to understand, if you're not connecting to a live session. We are taking the registers. We understand that people have technical issues and we're trying to work with people. We just want to keep on track of where you're at and work with you to ensure that you're having a good experience, or that where, for whatever reason, whether it be technical or other life's challenges, that we're working with you to kind of understand and support you and to direct you to the right student support services, because there is a wealth of opportunity there in terms of those networking in and getting access to support to help you. So that's really, really kind of important, the pastoral well-being. Daniel and I will also be reaching out and having meetings with your representatives on each of your programs together. But obviously also, if you've got ideas about things that we could do better, then reach out to us. There are kinds of limitations in what we can do, so we're not allowed to kind of foster networks for people meeting outside of UCL, even within the government guidelines. We kind of, because of the risk assessment processes. So, but self-organising and self-supporting one another is really important, and we'll be working with your reps in terms of kind of having those dynamics. We recognise that this kind of ongoing situation, when perhaps we thought we were going to be coming out of this, is particularly challenging and hard for you. So please do reach out to us. The other thing I wanted to say is that the personal tutor also kind of can perform a support role with that dissertation. So do engage with the session I'm going to record next week about our kind of timeline for this dissertation process, and I'm going to kind of flag to you all things that you need to be thinking about, especially, for example, if you're working with vulnerable groups and populations, you need to get ahead of it in terms of your research. So maybe just engage with that one session and then others as you feel able, but your personal tutor will then be a kind of support mechanism to help you get towards your proposal before you're maybe more formally allocated a tutor. So that's a really important thing to be aware of. I also wanted to just remind you that myself and Sarah Davenport are here to talk you through any kind of extenuating circumstances requests that you need to make, and to help make that administration as easy as possible. Sarah is a complete mine of the academic regulation handbook. I think she reads it every night before she goes to bed, and she knows how to help us kind of navigate through that. So we are here to do that. We have had a few instances of academic misconduct, which obviously is disappointing. And I would just remind you all, and I'm going to paste some links in a second into the chat, of the kind of plagiarism, issue. If you don't cite properly, you can suffer penalties for plagiarism and lose marks to the extent where you can actually score nothing from an assessment and have to resit. So it's something to take really seriously if you're not sure how to cite. Obviously your module tutors won't want that to happen, so they'll be wanting to work with you, but I'm going to flag some courses. The first one is an easy introduction on the library. The second one is a more technical Moodle module. The final link is the kind of academic integrity module. If you're really struggling and if any penalties were applied, we would be recommending that you sit this, but you really don't want to get in that position, and you definitely don't want to get in that position twice. So don't forget your kind of basic study skills and reach out to people if you're not sure what to do. We're just really, really keen to support you this term. We're all doing the best that we can in the circumstances, and we're keen to give you the best experience that we can in those circumstances and to stay connected to you. I'm going to paste the links, but I'm going to hand on to Sam, who's going to talk a bit more about wellbeing.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Yes, so actually this links really nicely with what Elizabeth's just been saying. I'm really here with my wellbeing hat on, just to remind everyone, and again I'll just post that link in the chat there for you. So beyond the department, that UCL has, I mean, so many resources for support that you can access now via that link, the Student Support and Wellbeing link. I mean, even if you're not in need of any help at the moment, it's worth just going on and browsing through what's there, just so that you know the various kinds of support available. The @UCL Cares function is really useful, and I have had reports from students that they are very responsive. So if you are, you know, again, in need of a quick response, then do try that UCL Cares option. It's a chance for me to shout out, actually, to say what students in our own department are doing in the wider sense in terms of helping with the faculty wellbeing. So if you haven't come across our Shelf Healing podcast about reading for wellbeing, you should all just Google that. It's on Twitter. There's some amazing podcasts with some brilliant people that are up there already. There's about half a dozen podcasts already there. There'll be a blog coming out alongside that very soon. So as a department, I'm very proud of the fact that both staff and students seem to be setting good examples for good practice. We can all do better, and I'm not saying this with any kind of condescension or patronage. I think, as both Elizabeths have said, actually this term more than ever, we just need to be mindful of the fact that we're all working still in very strange, very stressful circumstances. A plea for very basic communication courtesies if you can. So we'll all need to try harder about not letting emails land in people's inboxes late at night or at weekends. You can send them if you have to work outside normal working hours, as we all mostly do now, that's fine, but you can set them just to land in your recipient's inbox during a normal working day. It just relieves people's pressure. Both I've had reports from students and staff that just say it just stops that you know, constant need to check your phone or your iPad, and we all need a bit of downtime. Not just downtime, but actually most of us are dealing with things at weekends and evenings in terms of family life and other issues that we just need to be able to sort out. So if there's one basic core thing that I would want to underline at this point, it's just that, just be a bit more mindful about communications. We're all, you know, we're all going to slip. There are going to be points when we forget because we're all tired, but we can try hard about that. And that's it, really. I mean, I think I will wish you all a better new year in the hopes that, you know, as we come towards Easter, it does look like the light is coming closer towards us. So these first few weeks are going to be the toughest because it's still dark and miserable. And, you know, we've had bad news about lockdown, and that's inevitable. And I know a lot of people are now having to cope with grief and difficult personal circumstances. So we're all here. I mean, literally all here right now to reassure you all that whatever we can do to help, we are trying our best. We really are. And UCL more generally has got support in place. So please get in touch either with one of us personally or with UCL services, and let any of us know if there are more things you think we could be doing. And I you know, I hand on heart, I know we would all try and do that if it would make a difference. That's really all I want to say. So good luck with this term, and yeah, keep in touch. Thanks, Elizabeth. I'm not sure I'm handing back to you now, Dimitri.
Yes, thank you so much, Sam. That was wonderful, and thanks to everyone for this. Yes, I don't really have anything to add from the admin professional services point of view. Exactly what everyone else said. To reiterate that we are here for you. Anything you might need, just send us an email or book a Teams meeting with us. And bear in mind as well that we do have children and caring responsibilities as well. So bear with us if we don't respond as fast as we can. But we are here and we are very happy to help you, as we always do. So without further ado, I'm going to stop the recording, and please use the chat section or just raise your hand virtually if you want to ask any questions, and we can answer to your questions right now. So let me press stop.